So next up we have Casual Geographics, the potentially terrifying intellect or intelligence of the orangutan. We just did the ape video, which is like, oh, these guys are goobers, and actually very peaceful, and actually haven't really hurt people except one time they asked for it. This, I don't think, is going to be nearly that nice. I could be wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. Let's find out just how wrong I am. I can hope. Let's get started. Also, but you mentioned you couldn't tell Kenobi is under the apprentice drama lord in the series? Never could tell. Nope.
Giant ginger tree hippies don't always choose peace, but
Wait, do orangutans have the peaceful hippie moniker with them? I thought they were the monkeys right up there with chimpanzees. Were you like, no?
in 2014, one shocked scientist when she not only orchestrated the life canceling of another, she essentially hired a hitman to do it. The hairy honey trap.
I knew some primates committed war for territory. Murder for hire orangutan style. I was going to say oranged by, but I was like, orangutanged by. But I'm not going to make that joke because it'd be way too on the nose. This is not where I thought this was going to go.
Was executed by a young female named Condor, and the victim was a mother 20 years older named Sidoni. Living in the swamp forests of Indonesia's Mawas Reserve, the two had beef going back all the way to 2009, with Condor curiously approaching Sidoni's at the time 7-year-old daughter, and Sidoni defensively smacking and biting Condor before chasing her off. The perceived insolence stuck with Condor, and the disrespect was tattooed into her psyche.
Oh, so this isn't in the wild. This is actually within a zoo? Or is that just a random thing they put up there for a reference picture?
He was not letting that slide. Years later, Condor would catch the eye of a male named Echo, and the two would eventually run into Sidoni. They both approached, and Echo seemed to inspect Sidoni, who was now jockeyed by her 4-year-old son. Echo seemed curious in the mother, before losing interest and proceeding to mate with Condor. Right in front of Sidoni. Call it passion or power play, but either way, when Sidoni tried exiting the situation, Condor escalated, ending the lovemaking and savagely beating Sidoni. But what blew researchers away was Echo going from bystander to participant. For 33 minutes, the two took turns beating on Sidoni.
And this looks like it was in a nature reserve because they have the human aspect around. What the hell, man?
Sometimes together, sometimes just Condor, with Echo blocking off any escape routes. It was an honest to ape jumping, and his much larger canines meant Echo inflicted the bulk of the damage.
Well, that's terrifying.
The pair didn't stop until a fourth orang, a male named Guapo, chased Echo off and ran defense for Sidoni before mating with her. The Orange Night would be too late, as a little over 2 weeks later, Sidoni became past tense due to her injuries, and scientists were left wondering what they had just witnessed. In over 26,000 hours of observation, only 6 female on female attacks were recorded, and none caused serious injuries. Yet here was a spiteful orang leveraging her carnal currency, specifically to erase one of her rivals, and Echo acting as a hired gun. Premeditated and personal, it was a shockingly dark look into the intelligence of the forest man.
Okay, I'm going to be completely honest. I was not expecting to get into the shadows video here, but apparently we're getting that. We are now doing animal true crime. I was expecting a lot of things. This is so much more what the fuck than I had any expectation to ever get. Okay.
One that begs the question, just how smart are they, and just what could they be capable of? To say orangutans are intelligent is honestly disrespectful, because this tree-happy ginger ape is damn near human. That is an animal that can 100% speak. They just really don't want to deal with taxes. And that's only partially a joke. Their name, Orangutan, literally translates to man of the forest, because locals swore they were plus-size people that chose not to speak because they know then they'd have to get jobs. In 2014,
maybe they have a point.
A court in Argentina actually granted human rights to Sandra the orangutan after 20 years of captivity. There's a cute saying that goes, if you give a chimp a screwdriver, it'll use it as a weapon. A gorilla would accidentally break it. A bonobo would become the screwdriver, but an orangutan, he'd hide it, use it to dismantle his cage, and then let all his friends out.
Because gorillas are the dorks, chimpanzees are the warmongers. Bonobo? Yeah, even I know about them.
A bunch of reasons for this brainy Bigfoot, and one of them is them being the biggest mama's boys on Earth. No other mammal spends more time with its mother. except humans. In the up to and often over 10 years of being her shadow, baby orangs learned everything about how to orangutan. Not only that, but daughters often live around their moms even after having their own baby. This means orangutans are one of the few animals that have a legitimate culture, and what we see is a sum of generational wisdom passed down.
So by keeping the family groups together to show that you can learn from them long term, that actually does impart more knowledge. I mean, I guess it makes sense.
2022, a notorious Sumatran male named Raucus was seen using a medicinal plant to help heal a face wound he'd gotten in a fight. The 30-something-year-old applied the chewed-up paste of the akar kuning, an anti-inflammatory, antibacterial flowering plant traditionally used to treat malaria and diabetes.
So this orangutan had more medical knowledge than most humans? Because I'll be honest, this is more knowledge that I knew. I did not know about any of this shit. If you told me, okay, which of these plants and poultices, or how to make a poultice, would be able to stem bleeding or maybe cure a wound or clean it, my knowledge would be, I'm dead, I put something in there that's poisonous, and now I'm missing parts of my face.
Raucus applied the paste for 7 minutes until it covered his wound, and 5 days later, it was completely healed. It's not the first time we've seen animals self-medicate. Parrots will eat clay to detox from all the leaves, and elephants will apparently eat certain plants to induce labor.
Yeah, although I think a lot of that is cravings, but applying something to skin is not a craving related because that's different. Although elephants with throwing mud on themselves to keep the bugs and the flies off, that could also be a learned behavior. It's hard to say though, but still.
What made Raucus so radical is the simple fact that they rarely eat that plant to begin with. There's more evidence of orangs self-medicating with the same plants used by locals, and it's likely this knowledge was taught, and not by humans. Mothers will even teach their young to have the same preferences for food, so that when they get older, they can forage in the same area without directly competing with all the other mother-child pairs. Another thing this citrus simian is smart enough to understand is calculated reciprocity. In this viral video, you see this man Vitaly trade snacks with a zoo orangutan. Not only did the hairy haggler refuse until he understood that he'd be getting something back, I swear you can see him check for zookeepers. If it sounds like a stretch, it's scientifically proven this untaxable entity understands the concept.
This is a much bigger mood swing video than I was expecting, because like for the dolphin one, yeah, it was all the way downhill. For the ape one, it was all the way uphill because that was awesome. The orangutan goes, okay, how fucked up can we start? Followed by, okay, orangutans have basic understanding of economic trade and medicine, because there's so many people who don't check for the fuzz before making a deal for something to consume. You realize now that I'm saying this out loud that this does imply that there are probably places where orangutans are normal, where there's at least one dealer who has trained them to do the job. You walk into the forest, you don't see anyone. You put money down, you walk away, you come back, your stash is there. This is probably something people have been doing, because who's going to expect the monkey dealer? It's like you call anyone about the police, the monkey has my gun, or monkey has my drugs. Like, who's going to believe that? You get laughed out of everywhere. No one will convict you because no one will believe it happened.
Orangutans at the Leipzig Zoo in Germany were given 3 different tokens and quickly learned that they could exchange one type for bananas for themselves. The second token type would earn bananas for the other orang, and the third type had no monetary value whatsoever.
And already they're probably smarter than most gotcha players, because they would definitely not pull the third one thinking maybe it'll change this time. Also, Hobbit 1. From gotcha to dichotomy to smirt monkey. Interesting day. Yes, very. And Luna, would love if you could react to Starlight Brigade. I've been told about that one, but I don't know what that is. I think I have been told, but I'm also an idiot, so I might have forgot. Oh, we hit the goal. Nice.
First, the female, Doc, had no problem exchanging tokens to get the male, Bim, bananas. But Doc realized Bim wasn't really returning the favor, so she became a lot less generous. That gave Bim enough of an attitude adjustment to start trading his tokens more, until their efforts became closer to equal. There's another story of a zoo orangutan taught to exchange any trash he found in his enclosure for a food reward. Except he then realized if he just returned the trash in pieces, that would just mean more food for him, which was unfortunate when the trash was someone's phone, and tragic when it turned out to be a formerly a live possum. But what exactly is it that makes orangutans so smart? Well, the superpower is how they learn. When orangutans are spending all that time with their mothers, they learn everything they need to by watching and copying, even after they...
Huh. So they're visual learners, which is a documented way humans learn as well. The other ways being speech, action, and there was a third one. I honestly just completely pulled a blank on this one. Doing, seeing, hearing. Oh yeah, speech, action. Why is it I could say seeing, doing, hearing, but then not remember when I rephrase them? Weird.
Young males will find an older, flanged male to use as a role model.
Flanges, meaning the cheek pads mature. Dominant males develop when they reach age stat. Oh! So their cheeks just keep growing out beyond them, causing the flange. Oh, I was always wondering about that. I had no idea what that was.
Learning how to be an alpha male by mimicking everything he does. Mimicry is how...
So it's literally see, monkey do. Not even as a joke, but it's actually how they learn, and they're very good at it.
How they learn, and that learning creates cultures. It's scientifically proven when resources are good, orangs spend more time around each other and more time peering, watching, observing the other orangs. It's not just people watching, it's gathering intel, and they don't just do it to each other.
If you gave a monkey a phone and they watched you use it, I guess they would learn how to do it, and this is a monkey using tools.
Orangs regularly learn things just by watching the humans around them. This male was seen attempting to catch fish after clocking locals doing it. And one female, Supina, tried starting a fire by dipping a glowing stick in kerosene, blowing on it, and even rubbing it with another stick. But this shadow...
Tool usage is documented in a lot of animals, not just apes. But tool usage including knowing you could light a fire and attempting to do it using flammable materials. I mean, I can't do that shit and I know how to start a fire. I just don't actually succeed ever. Unironically, you could probably teach an orangutan to do some tech work at this point, and if you show them correctly, they might actually learn it.
Clone jutsu can be wildly inconvenient. Camp Liki is an orangutan research and rehabilitation reserve where the Auburn apes have plenty of opportunities to study humans right back, leading to the trend of orangutans untying canoes from the dock and stealing them, and not even triple or quadruple knots can discourage them. Fun fact, it takes about a 7-hour canoe ride to get to camp, so one documentary crew decided to save time with a speedboat. They lost that time after a redman stole the boat and left them stranded.
Bill, you're saying they're evolving? Honestly, I don't think that's the thing. They don't need to evolve. They've already got it. If we weren't the dominant primate, they probably would be next up. Hell, I'm not going to joke about this. Unironically, I think if some companies like, hey, we need workers who could just do this quick manual labor over and over repetitively, they might just start hiring monkeys. Because apparently they can.
Power of perception has taught orangs how to...
I mean, the downside would be the entire, ethics, but since when would that actually matter to anyone?
Breastfeed, drive, and even saw wood, all from watching a human. It said orangs have the intelligence of...
Wait, they can learn how to drive just from watching someone do it? People can't do that! And I'm looking at you, literally everyone else on the road ever. I swear, I'm the only person who doesn't drive like a moron. I'm lying, I realize I drive like a moron as well.
4-year-old, but I've yet to see a toddler that did its own laundry. Now you're seeing what I'm saying.
Yeah. Can you imagine if grounded doll man still had to ask her advice from their wife how to start the laundry, and then they still do it wrong and are told never to touch that machine again? Yeah, it's a good thing none of us would ever run into that one. I'm not going to repeat what my wife just said out loud when she heard me.
Bro's smart enough to talk, wise enough not to, and she's only song like that so we don't catch on. But what if I told you there's an even higher level of intelligence they can get to?
What?
deception. Deception requires foresight and anticipating the actions or thoughts of another party. That's where intelligence can get scary. If orangutans have the capacity to trick us, we're talking about a whole different ballgame. Which brings us to the story of Foo Manchu. Now we're talking about an orangutan
it's actually
outsmarting
orangutan, not the
humans,
actual
and it
hairstyle.
happened in the 60s in Omaha Zoo in Nebraska. I know, nothing ever happens in Nebraska. One day, zoo
I didn't realize people lived there. I thought it was just an abandoned wasteland that looked like Fallout happened early.
director Jerry Stone was doing his rounds when a couple keepers ran up to him. Panicking, they told him not one, but 5 orangs had escaped and were roaming the zoo. This was not good. Like all apes, an orang outside is a code red situation, and a starting lineup of them walking amongst people was a canon event begging to happen.
Please tell me one of them stole a car. Like the keys happened to be left in it, they got in and drove away.
All it would take was a human or orang getting too curious for it to be a bad time for everyone, and Jerry sprinted to them before anything could happen, and he found
Jerry blocking Foo's last chance at freedom.
them
God damn it, Jerry!
just chilling. Yeah, Jerry was greeted by 5 fugitives just people watching in the elm trees by the elephant building. Clearly all they wanted to do was visit the zoo like everyone else.
Oh no. This is gonna go bad, isn't it? It's not gonna go good.
But you can't just have several hundred pounds of primate in public unsupervised, so Jerry literally went up the tree, grabbed an orang by the hand, and led them all back to the exhibit with no resistance. Jerry was less gentle with his staff, and let it be known that another mistake like that and someone
The fuck? What?
else. But you can't just have several hundred pounds of primate in public unsupervised, so Jerry literally went up the tree, grabbed an orang by the hand, and led them all back to the exhibit with no resistance.
Okay. I did hear this correctly. What the fuck? I don't know how to contextualize that. That's a level of chill that is insane. The fact that they could do it, he felt comfortable enough to do it. The fact that they listened, hell, people, like if you have a bunch of kids who get out when they're not expecting it, they're not going to just like let you lead them by the hand. Like that's just that. Unironically, are orangutans smarter than people? Because I'm kind of starting to look that way.
Jerry was less gentle with his staff, and let it be known that another mistake like that and someone would get pink slipped straight into unemployment. Clearly Stone made his point, because nothing like that would ever happen again. Until
Wait, that's the guy who did it? Oh, I've seen that picture plenty of times. I didn't realize that was him.
next week when it happened again.
Yup, next week.
Somehow, some way, orangutan gang got out again. No one got hurt. They actually went to the exact same spot in the trees. But a troop of tangerine men exercising free will is a nightmare for zoo PR, and this time, Jerry was ready to give someone permanent PTO. There's no shot someone went through all that school in debt just to not close a furnace door. So imagine what went through Jerry's mind when the tans got out again. But this time, there was a catch. I used to think you'd only hear this line in a movie, but nah, someone actually ran up to Jerry and said, "You gotta come see this." And he wasn't wrong. You see, in the orangutan exhibit, there was a moat, and down at the bottom of that moat was a furnace door. And sure enough, they caught one of the males, Foo Manchu, fiddling with the door. They were watching from a distance so Foo wouldn't see them, but they couldn't see exactly what Foo was doing. All they knew was suddenly the door flew open and Usain Bolt felt a disturbance.
Did they freaking pick a lock? DK Nation, what do you expect the staff would do? They wouldn't escalate the situation? I don't know, but it wasn't grab them by the hand and nothing bad happens after that.
As these men broke the sound barrier running down to stop them. So now the solution was simple. Clear the enclosure of anything that could be used to escape and do it daily. And sure enough, the orang breakouts came to an end. For about a week until it happened again. Jerry wasn't even mad, just tired. Remember, he was a zoo director and these Mandarin menaces were monopolizing his life. And it was
But unironically, this is kind of insane. Fu Manchu not pictured? Oh, that's disappointing.
while perp walking Fu Manchu, who just had to have the biggest eating grin. Jerry noticed a glimmer out the corner of his mouth. He pulls it out and it all becomes clear. Out was a 4-inch piece of wire bent like a horseshoe that Fu Manchu had
actually
stashed between
picked
his
the
lower
lock.
lip and gum. The very hairy Houdini had been using it as a lockpick for weeks and hiding it in his oral wallet. No one taught Foo. Not only did he orchestrate his own emancipation, he had the foresight to realize he couldn't have the key out around keepers or else it'd get confiscated.
That is intelligence beyond where, honestly, it might not be ethical to even leave them in zoos anymore. Outside of it, putting them outside of a zoo at this point is almost a guaranteed kill.
Foo Manchu would be named an honorary member of the Locksmith Union of the United States, and Jerry Stone would go on to work with several other interesting apes, including a gorilla named Harambe. Foo Manchu wouldn't be
Just gotta drop that one in there, huh? Just gotta drop that one in there.
the last, or arguably the most creative.
He
27-year-old
most-
Carter used a stick to short circuit an electric wire and then used a bunch of sticks as a ladder to climb out her enclosure. She then just sat and enjoyed the view for 30 minutes until her keepers pulled up with tranquilizers, at which point she just went back in. Last year, Kimbali
Honestly, I think the biggest reason you should probably leave them in cages anymore isn't because of them. It seems like they're pretty chill unless they're trying to beef with each other and arranging gorilla or orangutan hits, which apparently they can do. It's to keep people from fucking with them. This is absurd, man, but it if he brings up bushmeat in this video, I'm literally going to start getting even more sick than usual about it.
broke out of an $11 million habitat in Toronto by cartwheeling past a wire barrier. Mind you, that habitat opened up the summer before. Bro flexed on them 11 million ways. The important thing is, in none of these cases do you see an orang get out with malicious intent. Most times it just cosplay as people. But what if one did have beef and use his powers for malfeasance? This is Ken Allen. It's the most famous name in orangutan lore.
And here's probably the bad side. Okay, here we go.
And you wouldn't even know the name if his mother Maggie had succeeded in smothering him before he even got it. He'd be named after the two zoo officials that would raise him instead, Ken Willingham and Ben Allen. As a baby, he'd soft launch his shenanigans by regularly unscrewing the bolts of his crib and dismantling it. And once he got too big for a crib, keeper Joanne Thomas would take him around the zoo in a stroller, a decision that arguably cost the zoo thousands. 5 days after moving into his new enclosure, June 13, 1985, Ken climbed a wall and got out. Years before, folks caught Ken building a DIY ladder out of some branches. One thing I didn't mention is living in the trees full time means orangutans literally make their beds every single night. Up to 20,000 in a life. Clearly the craftsmanship carries on. Ken Allen spent his freedom wandering the zoo, taking pictures with patrons before getting escorted back. Not a great thing to happen, but no one got hurt, the wall he scaled got extended, and surely this wouldn't happen again. July 29th of that year, Ken found a way out again, but this time, his intentions weren't pure. You see, there was another orang, Otis. Ken did not like Otis.
Otis not pictured, out of respect to Ken. Wait, out of respect to Ken? What did Otis do, man?
Ken hated Otis. He hated him so much that they actually had to be separated because orangs might be an endangered species, but as long as they are roommates, Otis
Actual picture of Ken Allen cannot confirm if Otis is behind in the camera. Oh.
was an endangered individual. So when Ken escaped a second time, he went straight for Otis's corner and chucked rocks at him. That premeditated stoning put him in solitary confinement, but I'm sure Ken will tell you it was worth it.
A week later? Probably a week later, it does again.
But the reason for the beef might have been jealousy. Otis was the breeding star of San Diego, with nearly 10 kids and 3 wives. Ken hated him as a concept, so the zoo gave him 4. And of course that backfired, when Ken started teaching them how to disrespect infrastructure too. One day, someone left a crowbar in the enclosure, and instead of using it while everyone watched, he just tossed it aside, like he didn't even care. An actual orang move, except he threw it to a female named Vicky, and she used it to pry open a window and free them both. Also,
unironically, this is fascinating and terrifying. Terrifying because something this smart probably shouldn't be in a cage. Fascinating because something this smart probably shouldn't be in a cage. I don't know which side of terror or fascination to be on in this one. Dear God, man.
Otis wasn't the only victim. Apparently, he took offense to a TV crew filming a documentary on gorillas and pelted them with rocks until he ran out of rocks and started using cannonballs from his colon. Ken was so crafty, boys would only have a chance of studying him if they dressed like regular guests, cause Ken would never incriminate himself if someone in uniform was around. Ken would break out a few more times, never hurting anyone, except Otis. He did once approach a child and mumble, "No one will ever believe you," before walking away.
At this point, if someone said they had the vocal cords to do it, I would fully believe it. Has anyone ever just given them a typewriter and shown them how to write sentences? Because at this point, I could honestly believe someone could teach them to speak English. Because it's starting to look like they might be smarter than us, so why not?
If you doubt that, your disbelief makes his legacy stronger. His legacy was he cost the zoo over $40,000 in zoo
but probably prompted a lot more people to come and watch, though.
Enhancements, undercover surveillance, electric wiring, and even hired rock climbers to find every possible finger, foot, and toe hold. But he likely made that back and more, with all the PR Ken Allen brought to the zoo, just by being himself. But except for Otis, who, let's be real, must have done something to deserve it, Ken Allen never used his intellect to inflict violence. Bro just wanted a vibe. But what could an orang with a human grudge do? There's a story of an orangutan actor hating his trainer and waiting until the two were alone up in a tree, where Pierre strangled his human op and threw him to
This is black and white, so I'm assuming this is probably a good bit of time ago. I don't know any of the details about the story, but I do know that in a lot of early television, and I think called Silver Age movie age, people were treated like shit. And animals weren't treated that nice. So I don't know what this guy did to this orangutan, but the guy probably deserved it.
To the ground, but the only proof is the obscure article I couldn't find a source for. Plus,
monkey kills trainer, Vienna, Pierre. An orangutan. Oh, why did they have a apostrophe or a hyphen there? Orangutan trained for moving picture work, nursed its hatred for a brutal trainer until one day when they were high in a tree. Then it strangled the trainer and threw his body to the ground. Okay. If this is Silver Age and they're already describing the trainer as brutal, this would be probably a felon in jail at this time period, as in today, because there are animal rights. And even though most people are like, fine, whatever, we're not dealing with this shit, there is still going to be, oh God, what did you do? That will eventually get someone to actually act.
Pierre was probably in the right. Now, Joe's revenge was more than just a story. Joe was an orangutan that appeared in over 100 movies by 1919. This was a time where there were no laws.
Oh, 1919? Oh, shit, yeah, no. I was thinking more like 40s and 50s. If this is 19s, yeah, no. The Wizard of Oz and movies around that time period, if they wanted snow, it was the bestest, man. You had every actor drugged to high hell because, fuck them, they'll act. Or intentionally starve for The Wizard of Oz again, Judy Garland. Oh God. And Luna to Moon, they have been taught sign language? Yep. But most Americans, most English-speaking people, most people don't speak sign language. If they had a keyboard where they could just write out what they're saying and have it read out loud, people would actually be able to talk to them. Because I'm pretty sure they can understand us if they can understand sign language. Teach them to read and write by typing? Hell, you could probably get one on a computer and have them play. I wonder if anyone's ever tried to make a gorilla or an orangutan VTuber and then just have them nonverbal and type in their cues. That might work. It would be the dumbest test ever, but you could probably do it.
Against capturing, selling, and even killing wild orangutans. Universal Studios would take full advantage, and as cute as he was as a toddler, things changed once he became a teen. There would be several incidents with Joe, including a lawsuit where a security guard claimed Joe had mauled him with over 40 bites. There was another time he escaped, and when police pulled up to catch him, Joe stole an officer's gun. But the most infamous case was Joe breaking out of the Universal Zoo, serving straight chaos for 3 days, and even releasing 15 wolves and his elephant friend Charlie on the way out.
So Planet of the Apes had inspiration in real life. And this is probably around the same... This is probably close to the same time period, because the original Planet of the Apes was very close to this. Like, not directly, but Did Planet of the Apes get inspired by real life activities? I don't know if I'm just bullshitting or that might actually be correct. The fact that I'm not sure is in its own right kind of terrifying.
Joe did seem to have a code. Not only did he never attack women or children, he'd often defend them. One scene had an actor pretend to spank a child, but because Joe don't play pretend with the little ones, the orang went O-line and leveled the guy. Another scene had Joe's character help rob a lady, but when good guy Joe saw the villain looming over her, Joe folded his clothes, with him in them. By 1924, Joe was retired from show business after being deemed too dangerous to work with. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, it's Team Joe over here, but there's an
I'm kind of with him on this one.
even darker side to orangutans. So dark that I'ma just drop this.
Viewer discretion advised. Oh, joy, we're getting to the next part.
Here's an ad while you consider your options. Birute Galdeques is a primatologist and one of the leading experts on orangutans, and in the 70s, she arrived at Camp Leakey in Tanjung
Please don't bring up bushmeat. Please don't bring up bushmeat. Please don't bring up bushmeat.
Putin National Park, where she was immediately warned by native Indonesians that some male orangutans can find humans attractive and occasionally physically and forcefully act on it. She didn't believe it until a male walked into camp one day and violated a female cook, and even multiple people trying to wrestle him off couldn't stop the salacious onslaught. It's now advised that menstruating women either avoid orangs or walk around with a club. So as you can see, orangutans are capable of anything from pet.
Yeah, that's the level of fucked up I was hoping not to get, but still better than bushmeat. If you don't know what that is, do not look it up. Like, there's a lot of time when you say that, it's like, don't look it up. That's going to be horrible results. This time is one of those few where I'm going to say, unironically, don't actually look up what that means. You don't want to know.
Theft and zoo escapes, all the way to premeditated census layoffs. But honestly, they could and should be way worse. An orangutan has never been on record murking a man, and some have had very good reasons. Joe Martin had every good reason, and the fact that he died with no body says more about his kind. The strong mom bond means Joe's mom was almost certainly destroyed for him to be taken. Joe suffered all manners of neglect, including electrical burns from wire.
So we've already established that they are incredibly intelligent. They can learn, they can hide, they can practice deception. Everything about this sounds right. So they basically took a kid from the mom and abused the kid. The fact that it's not a human at this point, the intelligence is there for it not to matter.
Eye damage from the constant stage lights. He was given cigars and alcohol which ruined his health, and he was even knocked out by former heavyweight James Jeffries. All without never really interacting with another orang. Joe going through all that and never severely.
We know how it went with Travis. Chimpanzee, though. Those are the ones that, if they're smart, probably should be more afraid. But orangutans and apes sounds like they're amazing. Also, we got someone, Hera mentioned, it doesn't help that a lot of the primate sign language research has been poorly done and documented, and influenced by a lot of bias in terms of interpretation of what the results mean. Yep. We would not be surprised. But also, it's probably one of those things where it sounds really cool, but the science behind it is, how to put it, what you see is what you get, but what you see might not be what gets the most funding. But then both sides are aware of that, and they have to play into it, and funding bullshit is always a thing, and who benefits from it. So that's a different thing. I only know a little bit about it from talking to people at a natural history museum for a couple years, and I honestly would rather not learn more about it. It's fucked up, man.
Maiming someone is our entire relationship with orangs in a nutshell. We have done far more to them than for them, in worse ways than you think. I can't even say what this one went through. Just know her name is Pony, and her story is not for the weak.
That was a chain on the leg. Ew. Hope the orangutan, her name after being hit with an air rifle so many times, blinding her. Fucking people, man.
Orangutans as a whole are a victim of humanity, and the worst part is what happens when they're gone. Once all the orangs in an area are gone, all the generational knowledge of how to live there dies with them. It's not just a species, it's an entire culture that goes extinct.
Because they don't write it down, it's all oral.
So what can you on your
monkey
phone,
see,
computer,
monkey
or
learn.
TV do? One is obviously support an organization that helps with research and rehabilitation, which is why I'll be donating to Orangutan Foundation International, founded by Galdeques herself. Link down below if you'd like to as well. Also, never support a place that uses uses orangutans as tourist traps. Any place that lets you pay to play with an orangutan is a huge red flag. But probably the best way is to avoid palm oil. Palm oil is the leading cause of their extinction, and it's in 50% of household products in the West. It's a commitment, but it's looking like we either give up the oil or negotiate the red ape's existence.
And if we have proven anything, it's we're not going to do that and they're going extinct. Lovely.
The choice is yours. Just know the orangutans would probably do the same for us. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. But first, I want to thank y'all. If you're
Also, I'm pretty sure that's durian they're eating. I hear it tastes great if you can get through the smell. I don't think I could get through the smell.
Remember my elephant sanctuary video, then you know that the park actually flooded.
Oh, we actually went to an elephant sanctuary? Oh, I need to see that.
That's so cool. After I visited, a flood that cost 2 rescued elephants their lives. But you guys came through with the donations, and Miss Leck Chyler was so grateful, they actually made a cake with my name and gave it to the elephants. And seeing my favorite animals eating out of my namesake cake would have been impossible without you.
Okay, I know I should probably go eat because I'm actually looking at this going, that looks damn good, man.
Guys,
I stand by it. It does.
You all. Hopefully one day I can do the same for Camp Leaky, but until then, drink water, hug your mother. If an orangutan hits you, apologize because you deserved it.
Yeah.
And I'll see y'all in the next one.
This was emotional whiplash of the highest order. I mean, that started with, hey, orangutans can be really fucked up and vicious. But it was followed by, and they're also the coolest thing out there. And it just... There is actually an argument to be made that maybe they should be given rights. Because if they're this smart, they could probably also work. They could probably earn places. It's just, if you teach an orangutan and they actually learn it, then they would pass it down to their kids. Then legitimately, it doesn't make sense to contain something like that. And that's not even all the abusive interactions. I was expecting a lot going in. In the beginning, made me think this is going the really dark route that the dolphin video went, but then it just went into and they are also the greatest animal out there in all the cool ways. Like, for as dumb and awesome as apes are, orangutans are just awesome. Just flat out awesome. They are literally escape movie protagonists, or like the cunning rogue who's going to steal from you, but at the same time, you're rooting for them because they're awesome and amazing. It's like every one of those Ocean's 11 protagonists is a standard orangutan. And it hurts because then it's What the fuck, man? This is fascinating, but it's also depressing because, yeah, they're in danger. They're going extinct. We'll probably in our lifetime see them go extinct because people are shit, and that's kind of a constant, so it won't get better usually. I don't know, man. It just kind of sucks, and it sucks more because it's good. I almost wish it with the dolphin babies, that would only be fucked up once, and then you're just like, okay, cool, we move on. But no, it just... Yeah. Have you ever crashed out over a video you enjoy when you don't actually want to crash out, but you feel like you're crashing out at the same time? Because that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I don't know how to deal with that, so we're not going to. You guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. It's Casual Geographic. He's awesome. This is amazing. And if anyone could show me that video he did about going to the sanctuary, I would love to see that. So yeah, thanks for letting me know. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.